Hello, you're welcome to today's class, NSC 327, Human Nutrition, and we are talking on lesson note 5, Metabolism, Digestion, Absorption, and Utilization of Nutrients. Once again, get your writing pen ready, make sure you take notes, listen carefully, and be ready to also read up with your textbook. So let's dive into the class while I show you the nitty-gritty of this course, and then we'll probably take one or two questions if time permits. Metabolism is simply the process by which the body converts food into energy, and it includes two pathways. You've heard about anabolism, that is building up of molecules such like protein synthesis, building blocks. And then you have catabolism, the breaking down of molecules. For digestion, as an example, digestion of food for energy. When you remember your gluconeogenesis, very important. Now, let's look at digestion. There are two types of digestion. You have your mechanical digestion and you have your chemical digestion. For the mechanical digestion, you have physical breakdown of food, including chewing, peristalsis, which is essential. That is, it simply explains the movement of food through the digestive tract. So, in the case of mechanical digestion, it is physically the breaking down of food, and then that occurs by the process of chewing, peristalsis, like you find in higher animals and also remnant animals. You find that this food passes through a kind of circle along a rigid wall, and then they break down until it become chimes in simpler form like a paste, and then it is now digestible. In chemical digestion, you have enzymatic breakdown of complex molecules. Example includes proteins in amino acids and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. We also have absorption. It's a process where digested nutrients are taken into the bloodstream from the intestine via the villi. And primarily it occurs in the small intestine. Now, in terms of nutrient utilization, once these nutrients are absorbed, they are used by cells for energy production, growth, and most importantly, repair. For instance, glucose is used in cellular respiration to produce ATP energy. Remember, 32 ATPs. So you have the absorption mechanisms that takes place by active transport. We're talking about absorption now, and how nutrients are utilized. And what are the mechanisms? You have the active mechanism transport or the passive mechanism transport. For active, certain nutrients like amino acids are involved. While for passive transport, water-soluble vitamins and minerals like sodium are involved. Active transport will require a lot of energy. While in passive transport, you do not need energy. It happens, free flow, fluently, without any form of energy to be activated before that process will take place. So this is all you need to know for this course under metabolism, digestion, absorption, and utilization of nutrients. However, to add to it, now definition again for metabolism in detail refers to all the chemical reactions that indeed occurs within the body to maintain life. And like I said, it includes the process that converts food into energy, both to build or repair the tissues. And we have seen key concepts, which is your catabolism and your anabolism. And I've told you in the case of the catabolism, it is the breakdown of molecules in order to release energy. Example is your breaking down glucose into ATP. I also have seen anabolism, that is the building up of molecules such as protein synthesis and then the using of energy. And then there are trends for metabolism as we speak. The impact of metabolism on genetics. How genetics have affected metabolism. So there is this impact of genetics as it affects metabolism, having seen from emerging research which has highlighted how metabolic rates can be based on genetic makeup. So the metabolism of an individual is actually based on the genetic makeup, and this will influence the individual energy makeup, influencing individual energy needs and susceptibility to metabolic disorders. And indeed, we have also seen that according to the trends in metabolism, it influences, it is influenced by microbiome. And what are microbiome? We've seen that studies show that all these gut microbiota, those microbes that you see around the gut, can significantly affect metabolic processes. And the research has shown that it's influencing weight management, insulin resistance, and energy metabolism. And we have also seen digestion, and you can simply define it as the process. Digestion is the process of breaking down food into smaller components, breaking down food into smaller components, and this makes it easier for the body to absorb those nutrients arising from the breakdown of those foods. And the process overview, I have just told you. You have the mechanical digestion, and that is the physical breakdown where you chew and then you have churning in the stomach. You also have the chemical digestion, which is enzymatic breakdown of food, from complex molecules to simpler, smaller molecules such as protein, amino acids, carbohydrates to simple sugar. So you have protein breaking down to amino acids, and fat into fatty acid and glycerol. You also have carbohydrate broken down into simpler sugars. Yes, that's another example. And if you look at the trends in digestion, you see that the role of digestive enzyme is really playing a lot of impact on digestion. So the studies have shown that digestive enzyme deficiencies and their treatment, for example, lactase deficiency leading to lactose intolerance. And lactose intolerance will bring about a problem in the case of your glucose tolerance issue. And then we've seen that another trend in digestion is gut health. And that's the focus on how diet, probiotics and prebiotics affect digestive health and prevent conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, which a lot of persons have been treated for. And so these are natural, immune system put in place naturally that should have helped to fight or ward off, challenges. But in the end, they become attacked because of lifestyles and the things we take. And so these prebiotics, probiotics, instead of them being available to affect digestive health, and prevent conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, they are no longer there. And so you have irritable bowel syndrome taking place. And we also talked about absorption, and we said it's the process by which nutrients from digested food pass through the walls of the intestine into bloodstream or lymphatic system, and they are absorbed via the villi. And some key structures include the small intestine, where the primary site, which is the primary site of nutrient absorption, especially in the duodenum and the jejunum. And then we've also seen that, like I told you, the villi and the macrovilli, those tiny hair-like, structures that increase the surface area of absorption just along the intestine. So we also see the trends. What is the current trends in terms of absorption? We see that nutrient absorption and disease, it's becoming a trend today in case of absorption. What are the conditions like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, chronic pancreatitis, and even severely impact diseases like these ones I've mentioned. And you see that it has affected nutrient absorption a lot. So we see that in the trend of absorption, these diseases are becoming increasingly much. And these diseases are affecting the impact of nutrient absorption because it affects the lining of the walls and also damages the villi. And we also see that another trend is malabsorption syndrome. Yes, malabsorption syndrome, so inability for the body to absorb those nutrients. So awareness of diseases that reduce the absorption efficiency of essential vitamins and minerals. For example, in celiac disease, it will affect vitamin D absorption. And then we also see underutilization of nutrients, and that can be defined as how absorbed nutrients are used by the body for growth, repair, energy production, and storage. And what are the key concepts there? We have the carbohydrates that are utilized for immediate energy or stored as glycogen in muscles and later broken down for usage, and also stored in the liver for later use. So they are stored as glycogen in the muscles and the liver for later use. You have proteins that are used for building and repairing tissues, enzyme, and hormones. Remember, we are talking about the utilization of these nutrients. We also have fats. They provide long-term energy storage and are crucial for cell membrane integrity. And in terms of trend, currently we are seeing nutrient timing. It's a discussion that is ongoing. Research supports the importance of nutrient timing in muscle growth and recovery, particularly for athletics, so that those timings have a very serious role they play, so that when they need to be used up, they are calculated, and in fact, they are, that surge. It's very much available for that surge to be allowed, for that room for surge to take up those energy for active runs, for active exercises by those athletes and other activity. You also have the metabolic flexibility. That's a trend in nutritional utilization right now, and this refers to the body's ability to switch between burning carbohydrates and fats efficiently. So it's a concept that is increasingly important now in managing conditions like obesity and metabolic syndrome. So that metabolic flexibility helps the body to be able to switch so that you understand your system, and then you're able to take advantage of that knowledge. And there are other topics in nutrient metabolism, such like personalized nutrition. And this is an advanced genomic or metabolomics and enabling personalized diets, so that people now know their individual genetic and metabolic profile, and they can eat the way they feel is right and uniquely to them. You also have the nutrient gene interaction. That's another emerging topic that is ongoing now in nutrients. You have understanding how certain nutrients can influence the gene's expression and will contribute, to an individual's genetic and contribute to an individual's disease prevention and excavation process. So when the patient understands how certain nutrients can influence gene expression and contribute to disease prevention or excavation, he tends to be more informed, and the decisions become more helpful. Yes, and then we have impact of stress and sleep. We have seen also that the impact of stress and sleep has become an emerging topic currently. So chronic stress and lack of sleep can interfere with digestion, it can interfere with absorption, can interfere with nutrient utilization. And what happens in the long run is that it will contribute to metabolic disorder. So we've been able to discuss, in addition to what we have learned, breaking it down further to know more about metabolism, digestion, absorption, and utilization of nutrients. Take notes and ensure that you ask your questions when you need to ask them, and you will get answers. We'll see you in the next class. Take good care of yourself. Bye.